Hi, I'm Martha Roby. I'm your representative for the 2nd Congressional District. I'd like to welcome you to the first Congressional Update, one of many where I can keep you informed of what's going on in Washington, D.C. and how it affects us right here in Alabama's 2nd District. My first few months in Washington have been really exciting. We hit the ground running from day one. We were fully staffed. 14 of the 15 people that we've hired to work in all of our offices are from right here in Alabama, and we are ready to take on all the issues as they come forward. We have 3 district offices in Montgomery, Andalusia, and Dothan, and all of us are working hard to make sure that we are as transparent and accountable to the people that have elected me to represent them in Congress. It has been a great transition, and I'm looking forward to all the issues that and tough decisions that we'll face in the months to come. Well, just last week we took on the 2011 budget battle, which of course is a result of Democrats' failure to pass a budget last year. And as a result, we were operating under a continuing resolution. And so we were forced to make tough decisions on how we are going to fund the government through the end of the year. There were negotiations that took place between House leadership, Senate leadership, and the White House that resulted in a continuing resolution that will cut nearly $40 billion in fiscal year 2011. This is $40 billion in spending authority, $40 billion that the president cannot borrow to add to our deficit. And so I am thrilled that in this defense appropriation bill, we know that our military families and our troops will be funded through the end of the year, as well as regular government operations, and we avoided a shutdown.
Tell us what you expect to come from the 2012 budget vote, and will the Senate support what's passed in the House?
This past Friday, I had the opportunity to vote on one of the most historic budget proposals that we have ever seen in this country, and that was, of course, Chairman Paul Ryan's budget proposal called the Path to Prosperity. And this budget for 2012, fiscal year 2012, cut $6.2 trillion, not billion, but trillion dollars over the course of the next 10 years. This is historic because this budget proposal not only cuts $6.2 trillion, but takes us down a path where we can start to pay off this country's debt. I'm yet to know, I don't know yet how the Senate is going to respond. Clearly, we have seen them push back on our proposed spending cuts over the course of this year. But I look forward to seeing how this plays out. We will stay tough and committed to our pledge to the American people, which is to cut spending so that we can grow the economy, so that the private sector can grow jobs. This past Friday, I had the opportunity to vote on one of the most historic budget proposals that we have ever seen in this country, and that was, of course, Chairman Paul Ryan's budget proposal called the Path to Prosperity. And this budget for 2012, fiscal year 2012, cut $6.2 trillion, not billion, but trillion dollars over the course of the next 10 years. This is historic because this budget proposal not only cuts $6.2 trillion, but takes us down a path where we can start to pay off this country's debt. I'm yet to know, I don't know yet how the Senate is going to respond. Clearly, we have seen them push back on our proposed spending cuts over the course of this year. But I look forward to seeing how this plays out. We will stay tough and committed to our pledge to the American people, which is to cut spending so that we can grow the economy, so that the private sector can grow jobs. As you may know, in the next coming months, we will be faced with another difficult decision, which is whether or not to raise this country's debt ceiling. We have credit card bills that are going to come due. This is money that has already been encumbered, and we must pay those bills. I will tell you that even though we have the majority in the House of Representatives, the Republicans do, we are still a minority in Washington, D.C. There are more Democrats in Washington, D.C. than there are Republicans. And I view this debt ceiling vote as a real opportunity to change the course of this country as it relates to spending. We have the opportunity to use this debt ceiling vote as real leverage for real cuts in the way that we spend money in this country. So I look forward to the debate amongst leadership in the next coming weeks so that we can ensure the American people that we are going to turn this ship around again so we can grow the economy and get Americans back to work. Well, as you know, I have very clearly taken a stance of an all-the-above approach when it comes to energy in our country. And I believe that we should drill here. I believe that we need to get moving on that so we can decrease our dependence on foreign oil as we continue to see the gas prices rise over the course of time, just most recently. I know that Chairman Upton, who is the chairman of the Energy and Commerce Committee in the U.S. House of Representatives, is working hard within the committee to come up with legislation that will help curb these rising gas prices. So again, I look forward in the next coming weeks to see the solutions that are proposed by Chairman Upton and his committee on what we can do right here in the United States of America to decrease our dependence on foreign oil. Sure. Well, a couple of things as it relates to pending legislation that this Congress has taken up. Clearly, we've already talked about the budget and the debt ceiling vote. These are two of the most important pieces of legislation I believe that this Congress will take up here in the first year. Again, the budget proposal, Paul Ryan, Chairman Ryan's budget and his committee, the Path to Prosperity, which cuts $6.2 trillion in federal spending over the course of the next 10 years, reduces the federal workforce by 10% through attrition. Also, tax reform, where we're looking at changing our tax structure to make it fairer and flatter and simpler, also for our corporate tax code so that we can have a level playing field where we can continue to keep jobs here in the United States rather than moving them offshore. A fundamental change in our entitlement programs. Medicare and Social Security are both set to be insolvent in the next 6 years. And if we don't do something about these entitlement reforms or these entitlement programs, Social Security and Medicare, then they won't exist for future generations. And so in this budget proposal, there is, for those who are 54 and younger, so people who are 10 years out from retirement and our current seniors, let me make this very clear, you will not be affected by any change as it relates to Medicare. But those that are 54 and younger, your Medicare options are going to be similar to Medicare Advantage, where you have a choice in your Medicare, in your health care options. But let me make this clear. This Path to Prosperity does nothing to change the current Medicare for our seniors and those who are 55 and older, 10 years out from retirement. But again, this continues to grow Medicare, but at a sustainable growth rather than the path we're on right now, which is unsustainable. So the budget proposal, number one, that is the most important piece of legislation on getting our country back to track, getting our economy back on track for future generations. Also, the debt ceiling vote, which we have already touched on, is going to be a very important piece of legislation for us to use as leverage to change the course of how this country spends money over time.